From a sharecropper's son to an esteemed baseball coach for Southern University, a road that was potholed with poverty, racism, and pain. These obstacles should have kept him from the top of his game. Instead, he fought back with everything he had and won. An inspiring story of tenacity, faith, and hope against all odds chronicles the life of legendary head coach Roger Cador, the 14-time SWAC champion with 11 NCAA regional appearances. He's a member of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, the American Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame. He's a member of the Southwestern Athletic Conference Hall of Fame. He's a prestigious inductee into the Southern University Hall of Fame. And now, he's a distinguished member of the College Baseball Hall of Fame. Purchased today, Against All Odds. Against All Odds can be purchased on Amazon, Audible, Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, and Google Play.
Smart Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge because BTR is so close and convenient. They're always one step ahead, rather than dead on their feet. So, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
All right, everybody, welcome back for another exciting episode of Chopping It Up with Coach Roger, Cador, and Perry White. Of course, I am Perry White, and the man sitting to my left is the man, the myth, the legend himself, the Hall of Famer, Coach Roger Cador. What's going on, Coach?
Not too much. How you doing this morning, Perry?
Doing good, man. As everybody can see out there, we got a new setup as we're transitioning. We're here on Pelican Sports TV. We're transitioning from YouTube and social media base now. We're back on cable television, man. So we get an opportunity for people across the state of Louisiana and people at home that's going to watch us on YouTube to continue to keep up with us with a bigger audience now.
That's good. It couldn't happen without you.
Couldn't happen without you, man. You Roger Cador, man. So how everything been, Coach?
Pretty good.
Just pretty good?
Yes, sir.
You got to give me something more than that. Pretty good like is in what, Coach? What's pretty good in the world of a Hall of Famer?
Pretty good. No, everything is good. Moving along a little slower than I'm used to, but I'm moving, I'm kicking.
You're moving and you're kicking, and that's all that matters as we get ready to move into the summer. And, of course, baseball that you know all too well has been going on. I've been keeping up with SEC baseball. It's been up and down when you look at those teams. And then as well as SWAC, and I know when it comes to the SWAC, you got the Swingman Classic that's going to be coming up here doing MLB All-Star Weekend. So you're going to be doing a lot in terms of consulting and everything else with MLB, making sure that you get the right guys that fit the bill that's going to be out there participating in this, representing HBCUs from around the country.
Yeah, we have the SWAC tournament coming up the 21st of this month, May. We made it into May yet?
Tomorrow.
Okay. So 22 days we'll be doing the SWAC tournament in Birmingham, and I'll do, as a color analyst, I'll do 2 of the games each day. So rather than all 4, I'll be doing 2 games.
Okay.
So I'll do 6 games in whole. So hopefully I'll be able to catch different teams when I'm doing them, and good things happen. You know, I'm always excited for the young people because once upon a time, that was me. I was there. We didn't have, when I was playing on the college level, we didn't have a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
You won the conference right out, and you go into the playoff, the NAIA playoff. So that's the way it was back in the days. But in today's world, everybody got to go. Even the losing team who don't deserve to go are going to get to go to the conference tournament. And hopefully somebody is hoping that they give them all trophies. at the end of the day.
Been keeping up with the SWAC, and then when you look at those teams, man, a team like UAPB, the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, the Golden Lions have been hot the past 3 weeks. They got a series victory over Alcorn, UAPB, and then they just got the series victory over #1 Bethune-Cookman, who had led the conference. They beat them in the series 2-1. So UAPB is one of those teams that's red hot right now. But then when you look at other teams around the conference, like Florida A&M, and I spoke about Bethune-Cookman, both those teams are newcomers in year 2 in the SWAC. What do you think about the success that they've been having since joining the conference?
Well, I'm not surprised at all about the success because they played good schedule, they have good players, and they have a commodity that most teams don't have. It's called pitching.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have pitching, you're going to enjoy success. And their defense is relatively well. And so they're forcing teams to earn their way to victory. And when I was coaching, I used to tell my players the two most important thing in baseball for teams to be successful. You got to have runs, and you got to be able to get outs. Those are the two biggest factors. If you're able to get outs, they don't get to score runs.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're scoring a bunch of runs, it's hard to get outs. So those are the two biggest factors.
And look at that Southern's program. They kind of struggled. They won the weekend series against Mississippi Valley. They won all 3 in the sweep, but they've been up and down, and like you're talking about, giving up a lot of runs. In that series against Alcorn at one time, one of the final score was 23-19. I thought it was a football game, but nonetheless, you're looking at the struggles that they're having. What's your insight on what's happening with the program right now?
Well, Chris felt he had a really good team. And his personnel is really good. I've seen him play, and they just for some reason have not put it together. When the hitting is there is no pitching. When they get a good pitch game, the hitting ain't there. So they hadn't been able to put everything together. And the one thing I've always said, if you could get into the tournament, you want to play hot, going into the tournament and get hot in the tournament. I remember Texas Southern in maybe 2004. Probably hadn't won but 5 or 6 games all year. They got hot and won the SWAC tournament and go in and beat Rice, upset Rice in the regional. So I found out over the years, records do have some meanings, but baseball is a funny game. You could hit all line drive and make out, and hit bloopers and get hit. So that's the way it is.
And that's the same thing of even over in the SEC looking at teams, right? Texas was a team in year 1 along with Oklahoma who was coming to the conference. Texas has showed not only are they the best team in the conference, but they're the best team in the nation. And they have been able to maneuver in terms of getting a series victory over Georgia, who was a top 5 team, LSU, who was a top 5 team at the time. And the success that they've been having in the conference so far has turned a lot of people's heads. But looking at LSU, I was at the series this weekend with Tennessee. It was a top 10 matchup, 6 versus 7. LSU really woke up. It seemed like they were kind of middle of the pack team. You have that elite, then you have the middle of the pack, then you have the bottom. At the bottom, of course, is Missouri, who is 0-21. Former Southern coach Kerrick Jackson is up at Missouri. He's having a tough time with that program, and having talked to him saying, our budget just does not look the same in terms of the investment as the rest of the teams in the SEC.
Oh, that's what he said?
That's what he told me.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, the other thing is he's not going to get players in the cold weather up there. And the other thing is facility, and like the other facilities in the SEC. Mm-hmm. It's called commitment. They have made the commitment to that basketball and football program, and probably women's sports. And baseball probably have to suffer a little, or you have to do a job that's incredible. And the advice I gave him is that in the Midwest, he may be able to find a pitcher or two that nobody else is on. It's cold weather. People might have seen him when it's a bad, cold day, and the pitcher don't look their best. And if he can look at him, he may get 2 or 3 good arms.
And I'm looking at programs, even like Arkansas. Coach Van Horn had that program rolling up until 3 weeks ago. They've lost their last 3 series, including falling on the road in Gainesville at Florida this past weekend. They lost to a red-hot Texas A&M team last week who went into Texas and Austin and lost this week. But now it seemed like Tennessee was the team to beat. But as you get through conference play, and you know this as a coach, you start to get all these teams jumbled up right there with all that seem to have about the same record, 11-8. 12 in this, you know, and everybody, it's hard to start to differentiate who's who until you get into the tournament. But like what you said, a team that can get red hot. Texas A&M and Florida both started SEC play 0-6, but both teams now on the move, and it seems like they're going to catch fire at the right time, getting ready to head into the SEC tournament.
Yeah, all of that we'll wait to see. So right now I know I'll be at the SWAC tournament, and we'll see what happens there.
Did you ever think coming out of coaching that you'll be into broadcasting with a mic in your face and talking in front of a camera for all these people to see?
Well, you know, when I was coaching, Cox used to do all of our all our home games. And Jeff Brenham, who was the director of sports, told me, he said, hey, when you quit coaching, if I'm working, I'm going to let you be an analyst. He said, because you talk about stuff no other coach want to come close to. He said, you bring a different vibe to the whole thing of being an analyst. And he said, that's what we really need. And what was so funny is that I did, for the SWAC tournament, I did it 3 years ago. And I said about a kid, you know, when coaches in tournament get way behind early, they go and get somebody who don't usually pitch to try and eat up innings. And I said, well, the coaches went to the bottom of the barrel literally to get someone who he's not going to depend on so he could save the people he has to depend on to try and win his way out of it. And that's really what most coaches do. Mother called in and say, he said that he won't got my son at the bottom of the barrel.
You hurt somebody's mother's feelings?
I hurt her feelings, and I apologize. You know, and what was so funny, there was another guy called a big Mexican kid, Mexican-American, and he didn't have the greatest body, but I called him Big Sexy. His mother loved it. She came and found me. She said, they've always talked negative about my son's body, but you made it seem nice. So I had a bad and a good, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I was listening to the SWAC tournament when you were broadcasting. You gave a perspective because I was listening to you talk about a pitcher, and you were saying how so many pitchers just try to throw it so hard, and you was like, it doesn't have to be hard. Just get it across the plate. That's all. Just let's make the game simple. And you were giving perspectives as a coach different from what you normally hear from the analyst perspective.
Yeah, and that was the thing. I dig deep into the game, try to put that person who is at home in the seat in the stadium, because I got to tell them what is going on. I listen to analysts all the time on SEC, and they don't do that. They do stuff that people already know.
Yeah.
You know, but if you could give fans something to think about that they can't see, it makes it more pleasurable to listen to at home or watch it at home. You got me?
Like calling a pitching change before it happened because you're watching where this kid headed, the direction, his pitch count, so many things that the people at home may not quite understand.
You know, so it's an interesting thing. And, you know, obviously when I'm doing that, the whole thing, the game opened up to me. It opened up in it. I could see the things that I used to teach to my players. It all comes back to me. And that's why I'm able to interject it and give it to the listening audience, because I'm telling them what I used to teach for 33 years. So it's easier if you do it that way rather than just sugarcoat it, because the FAMU fans love me because they said, you were able to give us things we never even imagined. And they're baseball fans, and they all complimented me about being able to open up the game from a coaching standpoint on the analyst part and give them things that they never were able to even imagine was happening. And it was happening. So that's what it's all about.
Let me ask you this real quick before we get ready to go to break. What is one of the toughest things for you when it comes to broadcasting? Because you talk about keeping it real and being honest, but sometimes you can have that broadcast partner that doesn't come from the background of coaching where you're going to speak on a perspective from a certain way, and they're kind of stuck in a way that has to be the television way, broadcast way.
Yeah. I've worked with people, who they never played baseball, probably never held a bat in their hand,
Really?
let alone threw a baseball.
And have the nerve to call a game.
And they calling the game. And one guy told me, I'm going to protect the innocent. He said, I see why your teams were successful. You break down everything. And I said to him, well, that's what I'm supposed to do. How you going to teach a kid if you just put him out there and say, go learn to play?
That's right.
You got to teach. And unfortunately, we're not getting teaching the way we used to get them back in the good old days when your mother and I used to go to school. It was a different type of teaching.
You think my mama your age?
She's younger than me. I just use her as an example. She's younger than I am.
But you're definitely right. It was a different world and what was taught and what was instilled in. Back then, even when I was coming up playing baseball, the idea was the fundamental. And you had a lot of kids that looked like you and I who was interested in the game. You don't quite have that same high interest for African Americans in the sport like you once did. And you see it across urban areas where once used to be filled with baseball fields with plenty of teams, now sit with tall grass and fields not used across a lot of America.
It's a thing of the past.
It's a thing of the past. Well, let's get ready to take a break, everybody. We'll be back more chopping it up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White, all right?
Have a passion? We've got the place. Gear up for where the rubber meets the mud, or stir up memories of a lifetime. Reach new heights. Gravitate towards something out of this world. Even travel back in time. You might like a little drama in your life, or get in touch with your inner nature lover. Release some pent-up energy while you're at it. There's plenty to do beyond the swing sets. BRAC, we're more than a playground.
With over 60 years of combined experience, Kathy Sherburne and Anna Barnett bring a wealth of knowledge and excitement to the framing industry. Keeping strong to the Louisiana culture, Acadian Frame and Art has numerous local artists and sports team memorabilia for their customers to choose from. Whether you're creating a gallery-like setting in your office or simply looking for some fun art for your kids' playroom, Acadian Frame and Art is your one-stop picture framing spot. Call 225-927-6129 or go to www.acadianframe.com.
Some Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge. Some don't. The ones that do know BTR is all about being closer, more convenient, with non-stops and short hops to anywhere their business takes them. They also know not flying BTR means more traffic, longer lines, and wasted time. So if it's about going from driveway to runway with a lot less highway, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport. It's about time.
Get the memoir from the legendary baseball coach from Southern University, Roger Cador, Against All Odds. Roger refused to let his past dictate his future by rising to legendary college baseball status. An inspiring story of tenacity, faith, and hope. Against All Odds chronicles Coach Cador's determination to reach higher, to want more, and to dig deeper to find the courage to chase his dreams. Against All Odds. Get yours today by Cador and Cador Publishing. You are now watching Chopping It Up with Roger Cador and Perry White.
All right, everybody, we're back with more Chopping It Up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White. Of course, I am Perry White. He's the man, the myth, the legend, as I call him to my left. Coach Roger Cador. Coach, as we've transitioned, now we're out here on Pelican Sports Television. We get an audience out there from Lafayette, New Orleans, and Baton Rouge. Get a chance to hear some of these amazing stories because they haven't had quite an opportunity to sit down like I have with you and just hear these stories just from over the years, either from former players, colleagues, or just yourself as a coach, or just the wisdom that you have gained over the years, man. And it's really awesome to be able to sit here and have this conversation. We welcome everybody at home who's going to be sitting here to listen to the episodes in the future, because let me tell you, this guy right here, I wish I could just take everything in his brain and just able to put it in like a DVD or whatever the case may be, because I can only imagine what it looks like from all of the experiences that you've had in life. And I think it shows with the success because of the Hall of Fames and everything else that you're a part of.
Well, I had good players. It wasn't all about me.
I wasn't about you?
No, it was about the players. They had to win the game. I had to help put them in a position where they can enjoy a measure of success. Mm-hmm. But they had ability, and they were willing to work hard and take that plan that I gave them and try to execute it. That is it in a nutshell.
You look at the success that you had in the Hall of Fames. When you first got that first Hall of Fame call, what was the feel for you receiving that information?
Well,
and what was the first Hall of Fame that you were inducted into?
In 1980-something, I went into the Baseball Hall of Fame at Southern. Not as a coach, as a player. I'm not in the Hall of Fame as a coach.
What?
But as a player, I went in and I was still, relatively young, so it didn't mean as much. But I was really, the thing that shocked me about that Hall of Fame is how could they put me in before they had put Lou Brock in? And I was a little disappointed. Even though I went in, he wasn't in. You got me? Mm-hmm. Because that's not what I'm about. He earned the right to be there. He earned that right. And this is the problem I have with some people who are in decision-making position. They pick and choose some things what they want to do and not always award the more deserving one, And that's the problem with me. But the other one, then I went into, I can't even remember. Which one was it? I know it went into the SWAC. I can't remember.
Was it the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame?
Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
They all came so fast. Again, I got to go in with Peyton Manning, and that was a really good class.
I heard you received more votes than Peyton Manning.
Well, that's what someone told me. I don't know. I'm not going to go to a casino and bet that, but it was told to me, But, it was really, again, that one I was a little surprised I went in so quick. But what made it special, hold up, Ricky Weeks didn't go in with me in that one, did he? See, I can't remember. They all happened so close. Mm-hmm. And
I know you and Ricky went in together for the College Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah. So maybe Ricky didn't go in there. But, it was nice to see that. There were so many good people have come from Louisiana and made a difference in the professional world and sport world, and then in the professional world. Just business people, educational leaders, and just fine examples.
Talking about yourself, a fine example as a coach, almost 1,000 wins in college baseball, which is, for anybody, that's a lot. You look at your career, the success that you had playing for the championships and winning them, the success that you had being the first HBCU team to go win a regional game. Was your team back in, 87, beat Cal State Fullerton, the number one seed at the time in that regional. But most of all, I'm just shocked to hear you say you went into the Hall of Fame as a player at Southern, but you yet to be inducted into the Southern University Hall of Fame as a coach.
That's not really a big issue for me. It'll find its way at some point.
And for the viewers out there, listen, he just wasn't a good baseball player. The man was a hell of a basketball player too. Am I correct?
Went to Southern on a basketball scholarship, and ended up playing. I remember U.S. Dean Jones was the athletic director, and when I went in there and he said, "Cador, we're going to give you a best basketball scholarship because you're a really good player. I've seen you play. Said, I'm going to give you a basketball scholarship. That's how it happened. I'm thinking I'm getting a baseball. He gives me a basketball. So I had to play basketball and baseball. And you know another unique thing about it?
What's that?
Not only did I coach baseball at Southern, I coached basketball. So I've had one hell of a career, or one hell of a good life, in the fact that I could say, at the school that I went to, not only did I play 2 sports, but I coached 2 sports. And I could say I was part of a championship in '81 we won in basketball, and then championships I won in baseball. So I've been able to do a lot of good things, and I feel really good about the players we've been able to help. You know, they give me stories about things that I did for them I don't even remember, but they remember, and that's the most important thing. You know, when you're doing good or trying to do good by people, you're not going to remember everything. Mm-hmm. You just do what is right. I remember so many young ladies come and say, Coach, you were so nice to me when I was at Southern. And I remember parents dropping their daughters off and say, please take care of our daughter for us. Mm-hmm. They had that kind of trust, and I did just so. And so a lot of them now are head of households and doing well in life.
That's why you the man, the myth, the legend yourself, Coach Roger Cador. All right, everybody out there, we got to get ready to take a break real quick, but we'll come back and we'll continue to keep this show on the road. Y'all stay tuned more, chopping it up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
With over 60 years of combined experience, Kathy Sherburne and Anna Barnett bring a wealth of knowledge and excitement to the framing industry. Keeping strong to the Louisiana culture, Acadian Frame and Art has numerous local artists and sports team memorabilia for their customers to choose from. Whether you're creating a gallery-like setting in your office or simply looking for some fun art for your kids' playroom, Acadian Frame and Art is your one-stop picture framing spot. Call 225-927-6129 or go to www.acadianframe.com.
Cats down by 58 with 1 minute left.
Hey, where's everybody going? This game's not over. So we're not the best. Our kicker stubbed his toe on the ball, and pretty sure our mascot has his costume on backwards. But this is our team. No matter what.
Have a passion? We've got the place. Gear up for where the rubber meets the mud, or stir up memories of a lifetime. Reach new heights. Gravitate towards something out of this world. Even travel back in time. You might like a little drama in your life, or get in touch with your inner nature lover. Release some pent-up energy while you're at it. There's plenty to do beyond the swing sets. Breck, we're more than a playground.
Hey, it's Jimmy Ott with ESPN Radio. Both Coach Roger Cador and I have gone to Dr. Dale Poliz for years for all of our dental needs. Dr. Poliz uses the latest technology in preventive dental cleaning, digital x-rays and night guards, restorative tooth-colored fillings, porcelain crowns, complete partial dentures. Zoom whitening, you can whiten teeth 10 shades in as little as an hour. Dental emergencies for infections, broken tooth, or restoration when things just go wrong. Most insurance is accepted. Dr. Dale Poliz and Dr. Larry Oob, available Monday through Thursday, 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., 926-6899, and PolizDentistry.com.
All right, we're back with more Chopping It Up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White. I am Perry White, and he is the man, the myth, the legend himself, Coach Roger Cador. And we on break. He told me I'm wide. I'm blocking his shot, everybody. Can y'all see behind us?
You're blocking my name.
Blocking his name.
They can't see my name.
There you go.
I see Choppin.
Yeah, there it is, Chopping It Up with Coach Roger Cador. There you go. You see it at the bottom right there to get him right. There you go.
Okay.
Want to welcome everybody out there that's tuning in, man. Everybody out there in Lafayette, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and all the surrounding areas, man, joining us today as we continue to have this conversation about just life in general. Just, this is a good person to talk life about. He's a guy that's taught a lot of kids as they become adults in life about life. And what's some fun stories that you can remember giving the team about life?
Oh, come on, Perry.
Yeah, give me a life story. Motivate me today. Motivate the people out there today.
I can't think of it right off the cuff.
Give me something biblical.
Well, one, that's an easy one.
Yeah.
I told a story, and I can't remember where it is in the Bible right now, when there were 7,000 people going to war, and Jesus brought in 7,000, and he told them, go drink water. Mm-hmm. Go drink water out of the river. And he said to the guy in charge, send all the ones that drink like a hog with their head down, send them away, and keep only the ones that use caution, use their hand to drink and was watching. The assistant coach for Southern still remembers that story. He said, Coach, that made sense because a lot of people come and go, but very few are able to do what needs to be done. And then what happened in that story, only 7 people remained.
Out of 7,000.
And Jesus told them, get bottles, glasses, and get the sick. And what we're going to do, strategically place each one of the 7 in a certain spot, and we're going to hit on it. So what happened, the people that had in camp they turned on each other and killed each other.
Whoa.
Because they were taken by surprise by those 7 people. So that's a great story I tell. But one of the other one I told is that, and that's one things we had to do something really good, get the team really right. We were going into a big challenge. And I told, one of my former assistant coaches' baby was sick. Didn't think he was gonna make it. The grain of mustard seed, have faith of a grain of mustard seed. Because I had to tell my kids that many times. We had so many obstacles. So if you only had the faith of a grain of mustard seed, you could talk to mountains and make them move. And I said, we need to have faith, just a little. Not even like a grain. Grain of mustard seed is particularly small. And so we did that, had the faith, they listened. They were giving me nod, and we were able to do a lot of things based upon spiritual advice biblical things I was talking to them about. Just things that they can read forever. Even when they have a family, they can talk to their kids about it. And rather than just tell sports stories, I very rarely told a sports story, and that's why I had to tell true stories, because I was telling them mainly coming out of the Bible. Because you can't lie, reading something in the Bible and go lie to people about it, even though a lot of people do it and mislead people. But I wasn't going to do that. I was going to give them the truth and nothing but the truth.
Let me ask you this: where did your strong faith comes from, in which you was able to share that with your student athletes?
Well, I grew up not even knowing what a Bible was.
Really?
Yeah, no, we didn't have a Bible in the house. never read the Bible. My mother and father never talked about it. And but it must have been something Jehovah God put in me that always made me a little different than my brother, sister, cousins, everybody in the community. That was a little different. And then in 1976 is when it hit me. I met a lady I ended up marrying, and she taught me the Bible. And she told me that I was going to be in places a lot of people wouldn't be, and was going to help a lot of people. Because she said, you talk to everybody anyway. She said, but you're going to go places and be in places, and you'll be able to help people. And I didn't pay much attention to it at the time, but literally it became true. You know, I've been able to go a lot of places. I had 3 international calls this past week. People calling to thank me for the things I've done for them, helped them. Again, you're talking about people, when you're talking about international, you're not talking about you helping some local person. You can help everybody, you see. So that's really where I got that strong faith from. Once I learned the Bible, what was in it, it made a big difference. It helped me to make better decisions. That was the biggest thing, making better decisions.
Looking at the world today in which we live in, and we see the ups and downs, faith doesn't seem to be as prevalent as it once was, you know, as you hear the stories and just so much going on in the world. What's your thoughts of just looking around at communities across the country and just seeing, in my opinion, the lack of faith?
Well, you look at the religious leaders. They've always been there. And in Jesus' time, he talked about how they were misleading people. You know what I'm talking about? And that's the biggest culprit is the religious leaders. They get to mislead more people than anybody.
Yeah.
You know, and so what happened in Jesus' time is still happening today, just we're seeing it on a bigger scale.
And we got the news and social media and everything else that brings it to us just consistently, you know, where, you know, I'm often bothered, especially looking at our young people in our society today. Just, for me, lack of respect, the morals and values side of things. And you hear it a lot from educators who deal with the kids, small, you know, intermediate all the way up through high school. And it's just tough to hear the stories of a lot of these young people and the disrespect and just the lack of respect that they have for adults.
Yes. You know, and again, I'm going out of the country. One thing I have to say about the kids I notice in Latin America and Central America and South America, they have a great deal of respect for their parents and grandparents. They hold high or held in high esteem in the eyes of those kids. And I'm so proud and happy to see that because that's the way I grew up. That's the way it used to be. You know what I'm saying? I see kids curse their parents here. How could you do that? People take their parents' lives. How could you do that? You know.
I always was told, my mom said, I'll take you out.
Yeah. She has it right.
I brought you into this world, I'll take you out this world. You know, it was but the respect was always taught that you respected her, you went to school, you're going to respect your teachers and principals. Wherever you go, it's going to be yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. I was raised on that. And, of course, you know, I say we used to cuss all the time, but when the adults come, you cut that out.
Yeah.
You said what you need to say. You were respectful. Then when they left, you went back to doing what you was doing. But it was watching your surroundings and just having that much respect for those that we considered as our elders as adults.
Yeah, I call young people, yes, sir, no, ma'am. You know, one young boy, why are you, you're older than him, why are you? I said, man, this is just out of respect. And who knows? That might help that guy to think different You know,
Because nobody's probably showed him that respect.
that nobody showed him. You know, that's all it's about.
And I asked that too because as a coach, you were getting young men from all across the country, from all type of backgrounds and situations, and you know, bad habits follow people. You know that they didn't know.
Yeah, it does.
And you don't know what kind of situation somebody was taught in the household that when they came to you as a coach who was going to instill discipline and structure, that you had to break those bad habits by instilling the good things.
And it didn't happen overnight, but we kept infusing positive things in their minds and letting them hear good things and letting them know about love. And when they did something good, we commended them, which they probably never got commended when they did. So it didn't matter to them. You know what I'm saying? Listen, kindness matters. If you're kind to people and you are consistent with it, it'll pay off down the road. You know, good habits. You show people good habit. It works. It help people. But if I had a rule. I mean, coaches don't do it anymore. No earrings, no braid. You know, we had to shine our shoes. I mean, we had to do all of those things. And we made it. If you want to be a part of this team, we made that team valuable. We made it the most valuable thing that was in their life at that time in terms of athletics. If you want to be a part of this team, this is what you have to do.
Wasn't going to be easy like anybody can just come
there
in.
You go. Yeah. If you had made it too easy, everybody could invade you. And then they were killed. So it got to be where my players were policing it. They ruled, they made sure that nobody broke those rules because they had value to them.
You created a culture within the locker room.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I have 9 of my former players. I got a bunch of them coaching, but they're in executive position with Major League Baseball. And so it's because they're enjoying success because they came out of a situation where things were demanded and respect had to be gained and hard work had to be done in order for you to impress someone.
I enjoy it and I love it. Let's get ready to take a break because I got to do my part, everybody. So y'all stay tuned. We pay some bills. We'll be right back. More Chopping It Up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White. All right?
Smart Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge because BTR is so close and convenient. They're always one step ahead rather than dead on their feet. So, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport.
Hey, it's Jimmy Ott with ESPN Radio. Both Coach Roger Cador and I have gone to Dr. Dale Police for years for all of our dental needs. Dr. Police uses the latest technology in preventive dental cleaning, digital x-rays and night guards, restorative tooth-colored fillings, porcelain crowns, complete partial dentures. Zoom whitening, you can whiten teeth 10 shades in as little as an hour. Dental emergencies for infections, broken tooth, or restoration when things just go wrong. Most insurance is accepted. Dr. Dale Police and Dr. Larry Oob, available Monday through Thursday, 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., 926-6899, and PoliceDentistry.com.
From a sharecropper's son to an esteemed baseball coach for Southern University, a road that was potholed with poverty, racism, and pain. These obstacles should have kept him from the top of his game. Instead, he fought back with everything he had and won. An inspiring story of tenacity, faith, and hope against all odds chronicles the life of legendary head coach Roger Cador, the 14-time SWAC champion with 11 NCAA regional appearances. He's a member of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, the American Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame. He's a member of the Southwestern Athletic Conference Hall of Fame. He's a prestigious inductee into the Southern University Hall of Fame. And now, he's a distinguished member of the College Baseball Hall of Fame. Purchased today, Against All Odds. Against All Odds can be purchased on Amazon, Audible, Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, and Google Play.
All right, we're back. More Chopping It Up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White. Of course, I'm Perry White. He's the man, the myth, the legend himself. Coach Roger Cador handling business. Look, this is a busy guy. He gets calls from all across the world, the country. And as you said, before we get ready to get out of here soon, you're going to be headed over to Birmingham coming up next month for the SWAC baseball tournament. You're going to be being an analyst, as they call those games, but you're also going to be scouting some talent that's going to be a part of the Swingman Classic that's going to be doing MLB All-Star Weekend. For those out there that are hearing this for the first time, talk about what the Swingman Classic is and it's part of being of the MLB All-Star Weekend.
Well, it's we get kids from D1 historical black universities, and we choose who we consider to be the best 50 kids, be 25 on each side, and we pit them. Now we give them an opportunity to further get exposure as far as their talent is concerned. And if they're good enough, they can get drafted, or we have a league called a draft league. They're good enough, they can go there and work a little harder to develop and maybe get signed by a major league team. So there are a lot of opportunities that comes out of this endeavor.
Third year, you guys started it out. First year in Seattle. Last year was in Dallas. This year going to Atlanta. This thing continues to grow as it's working its way down south. And you guys saw a huge influx in terms of attendance last year with it being in Dallas. And then you did something different that you didn't do in Seattle. You incorporated the HBCU bands and it's part of the festivities. And then now going to Atlanta. What are we in store for in Atlanta this year?
We have to compete against Beyonce. She's in town. Beyonce is there when we are there. Can you imagine? So we have to compete there. But as I mentioned to the people at MLB, the people who are going to go see Beyonce, they ain't coming to a baseball game. Would you agree?
I could most likely agree. Unless the boyfriends get drugged with the girlfriend, it has to go to the Beyonce concert. But I could agree with that.
Yeah, so we laughed about it and see. So we're looking forward to it. We're going to do the band thing again this year. And they're going to do something different because there's so many HBCU universities in the metro Atlanta area and nearby. So we'll see. They're working on the final script and everything now. So we'll see. I'll bring one of my guests, Tony Regan. He'll be able to talk a little more about it in detail.
And you look at the fact that this thing is going to be in Atlanta this year. Of course, we have the SWAC as one of the HBCU leagues. What other conferences will be for players chosen to participate in this?
MEAC, that doesn't exist, but they play in other leagues. So we'll get the team players from 6 of the HBCUs on the East Coast.
So you'll get those MEAC guys, you'll get the SWAC guys. And what is the experience like for them to be a part of MLB All-Star Weekend? Because that is the biggest weekend aside from the World Series when it comes to Major League Baseball. But then to incorporate a game with these guys as All-Stars to be a part, I'm sure it's a hell of a memorable moment for them to be able to see the big leaguers and to play in the big league stadium and to be a part of all the festivities.
And they get some in the former big leaguers come back for that, and they get to meet them and take pictures and do all kind of things. Man, there's so much going on. It's just like it's not big as the Super Bowl, but it's like the NBA All-Star Game. It's a lot going on.
I went to the Super Bowl this year. It's big. It's the biggest event I ever been a part of, and to look
I've been to the Super Bowl twice, but that was years ago.
Years ago?
Yeah.
And looking at now, what are you looking for as you scout these guys when you're looking at the talent? What makes them an all-star in your opinion as a coach and now a scout looking at them?
Well, they have to be able to do 3 of the 5 things that baseball is based upon. Either they can run fast, throw hard, hit the ball. Those are the three main elements. But if they can feel and have instincts, it even makes it even better, you know. So we'll be looking for kids who have decent all-around talent. We know there's going to be some shortcoming because you're not going to find a big leaguer probably right away out of this, but this is an opportunity for them to grow and get exposure and have another experience that they can go back home and, as they grow older, talk to their kids about. Because nobody else is doing it. This ain't happening at the Power 5 conferences. It's only happened in HBCUs. I mean, just think about it. Major League Baseball fund this, and it only happens in the HBU's realm.
Mm-hmm. And then you also, not only with this, you were also a part early in the baseball season, the Andre Dawson Invitational. That was something that used to be, what was it, the Urban Invitational? You were key in terms of getting that off the ground. It started out initially out in California, then worked its way over to New Orleans, and just the platforms that you continue even after coaching to try to create for players from this league in this realm of HBCUs to continue to be seen, I think is amazing. And nobody better to do it than the guy who had a lot of players drafted from underneath your tutelage, a lot of guys who are now coaches, a lot of guys who are scouts and officials. So many guys went off to be successful and be direct a part of Major League Baseball. And of course, Ricky Weeks that everybody talks about, right?
Yeah.
But for you to be there, what's the drive to make sure that we continue to push HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, and the student athletes that are there to make sure that the world does not forget about them and learn about them?
I can say this, and I can say it from the bottom of my heart. If I wasn't who I am and talk to everybody, and I tell people, none of this could have happened. I had to do a lot of talking. And I had to fight through some negative talk, you got me? And not be angry. Because when someone feels they have an advantage over you and they talk negative, and you can sit there and take it and work through it and find something positive at the end of the conversation you can work on, that's what I was able to do. And so that's why I've been able to get people to listen, you know. It took Tony Regan and Dale Matthews and I 3 years to get this Swingman Classic off the ground. A lot of people give up, but we did it in 3 years, you know. And we're not talking about peanuts here. It costs millions of dollars to make this thing happen. To put when you start putting this thing on, you know what I'm saying? It costs some money. We're going to spend a lot of money on the Bains, spend a lot of money flying everybody, feeding them, housing, and all the other people they have to bring in to make this event successful.
I'm looking forward to it. I hope everybody out there who are listening to us in our voice tune in to it. It's going to be doing MLB All-Star Weekend. You'll get an opportunity to watch some of the best black college baseball talent from across the nation at our HBCUs, particularly the D1s, right? You said the MEAC as well as the SWAC, where they'll get a chance to put their talent on full display along with the big leaguers. And when you look at the big leaguers, what has been their reaction to seeing these guys saying, you know, hey, what is it like to be on our level?
Well, you know, I watched them. They enjoy it, man. You know, they're getting this selfie. I mean, you know, and the big leaguers really are, and former big leaguers, they give them a lot of love, you know.
And Ken Griffey Jr. is one of the big leaguers, former big leaguers, who was on the forefront with this with you.
Yeah. Well, Ken had the right name to make this thing happen.
Yeah.
You know, he had the right name. And he was doing some things out of the commissioner's office, and it made it easier for when we went forward with that initiative.
That was one of the guys who I watched growing up playing baseball, Ken Griffey Jr., of course. Everybody wanted the Griffies. You wanted the shoes. You wanted the, and then I used to watch Gary Sheffield. We had an opportunity to talk to him, that Gary Sheffield, when he get back and back. It was a lot of things that, as a kid you picked up and watched. And then you watched the Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire. You tuned in to watch Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire to see who's going to hit the home run here, who's going to hit the home run there. Baseball at that time just seemed to have so much more excitement than kind of what I get today. In all honesty, I don't feel that what it once was when it comes to excitement from my perspective. But I know there are people out there who do, but I still get excited about the Little League World Series. You know, watching those little leaguers and the opportunity to be on the big stage, compete internationally. You know, what are your thoughts in looking at the little leaguers and seeing those guys on that stage?
I want to go back. Hold your thought. I want to go back and say something about Ken Griffey.
Okay.
Or Junior. He's such a down-to-earth, everyday person. You would never believe how meek this guy is. I mean, a Hall of Famer, did a lot of things, but when he's in our circle, he talked to all of us. He treated us just like you and I are talking. You know what I'm saying?
And you know, he's a photographer now.
Yeah.
He goes to all the big events and take pictures.
He take a bunch of pictures of his events. So, I mean, you know, and guys joke with him. I mean, it's just a wonderful thing, man. You know, he's not on the pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
He's down on the floor just like you and I.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I wanted to mention that to him about him because we talk a lot about other things, but we don't get to talk about the human side of how wonderful he is. You know.
And quickly, about a minute here, about the Little Leaguers, when you get an opportunity to check out the Little League World Series and see those guys go in and compete and represent their towns from across the country, man, that's a special feeling to watch those guys, knowing the whole community is back home watching them.
Yeah. Let's hope no robbery go take place. Because the man at the store ain't there. He's watching it somewhere else.
You know, you get those little towns, you get the signs on the door, because as a football official, sometimes I get into a small town, and you really see it's one of those situations where you see the signs on the door, going to the game.
That's right.
You get the whole community support.
Yeah, you don't want to know let the wrong people know you ain't there. They may come in.
Say, I'm going to the game. Well, listen, to everybody out there that is tuned in and watching this, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's episode. Of course, Perry White and Roger Cador, he's the man, the myth, the legend himself. And everybody out there in the Louisiana area, whether you're in Lafayette, whether you're in Baton Rouge or New Orleans, or whether you're in any little town in between, we appreciate you guys. And listen, don't be a stranger to the show. Tune in each and every time you see us come across your screen, whatever else, because we want to be able to bring you into the family and the fold for you guys to be able to out there listen to these incredible stories that my man, Coach Roger Cador, he's a Hall of Famer for a reason. How many? 6, 5, 4, 100? How many Hall of Fames?
0.
Now he's telling the field, but but we want you guys to be a part of what we do and what we have to bring here, because as we continue this show, you'll hear a lot of great stories, and we're going to have a lot of great guests coming up here in the future as well for you guys out there to be tuned in and get an opportunity to see what is it like to hang out with my man, Coach Roger Cador, because this is a guy for over, 40 years, dedicated his life to young people. And you had to keep up with young people in the ever-changing world that is out there, including what we see today. You lived through 8-track, CDs, DVDs, here we are, digital, all type of stuff. So the fact that we're still rocking and rolling, he's still right here able to do it, man. We want you guys to stay tuned and keep up with us as always and chopping it up with Coach Roger Cador here on Pelican Sports TV. So for myself, Perry White, and my man Roger Cador, hope you guys have a great week and get a chance to keep up with us. And every time you see us on the TV, you make sure you turn up and you keep us there. So we'll catch you guys next episode, all right?